And great. So again, my name is Allison James. I'm the program manager of the Chicago Student Invention Convention. We are a K through 8th program that teaches students how to invent original inventions to solve problems in their lives. And students can do this through physical engineering as well as through digital products and apps. And we have been so fortunate to work this year with Code Your Dreams, an organization of which Brianne Caplan is the executive director and founder. And we are very excited to bring Brianne here today to speak with you all about some of the work they've been doing and some of the activities that can translate well to the remote learning and home learning environments that we find ourselves in these days. So thank you all for attending, and I'm going to turn it over to Brianne to share a little bit more with you all about Code Your Dreams.
Great, thank you, Allison, and hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be speaking with you today at this webinar I'm calling Coding as a Superpower for our students. I'm excited because, well, I love any opportunity to get to talk about coding education and the programming that we do with Code Your Dreams, but I also just love any opportunity to get to connect with some amazing teachers and hopefully provide some resources that you find helpful. So, nice to meet you. As Allison said, my name is Brianne Caplan. I'm the founder and executive director at Code Your Dreams. I put my Twitter, email address, and LinkedIn here, so please connect with me. I'm so excited to get to talk with you all today, but I'm even more excited to get to connect after this call. Here's a tagline that I think really well sums up the work that we do at Code Your Dreams. It's teaching youth to code the solutions they dream of for a better world. At a very high level, Code Your Dreams is a 501c3 nonprofit headquartered here in Chicago. We work with middle and high school students in underserved communities, and we teach them to build mobile applications that make an impact in our communities. So our students take on some of our community's deepest and most challenging problems, and they innovate new solutions with code. I'll talk a lot more about the curriculum and our teaching philosophies in a little bit. So an overview of today's presentation, some topics that I'm going to cover. I'm going to start with our philosophy with Code Your Dreams, basically why we do what we do and how we do it. I'll talk about our curriculum. Then I'll get to my favorite part, which is getting to talk through some student app examples that are truly amazing. After that, I'm going to talk a little bit about the partnership that we have with the Chicago Student Invention Convention. And then finally, I'll dive into some offline activities for students to do ideation, design, and coding, and all of these that don't require any sort of, I'm just looking at the chat, any sort of technical requirements. And finally, let's do some Q&A. Please ask me questions. I also want to hear how you're dealing with COVID-19 with your students, and I'll try my best to answer any questions that you might have. All right, let's dive right in. Our philosophy at Code Your Dreams. So when I think about our teaching philosophies and how we organize our program, they're divided into really 3 big buckets. So the first is youth-centered. We aim to amplify and empower youth voices. This starts at the very beginning of our program, where we have students think about their own communities, what are problems that they themselves experience, and then we have them think through solutions that are achievable and that they can build that helps with their lived experiences. I find that it's incredibly empowering and brings a lot of excitement for our students throughout the entire process when they themselves are at the center of the curriculum. The next bucket is that our entire curriculum is very much project-based. And I know this has been the big buzzword in education for the past decade, but truly our curriculum at the core is project-based because our students learn everything that they need to know in order to build their apps to final completion. This makes our curriculum extremely engaging for our students, but I will also be honest that it makes curriculum develop very challenging. The reason being is that when our students get to actually coding their apps, the knowledge and requirements that they need to learn and understand is completely different for one student versus another. This is just because there are really an infinite number of apps that students can build. So when we go through our curriculum, it's kind of like a drag and drop, bringing different lesson plans in to adhere to that group of students and their applications. Finally, our curriculum has community at the heart of everything that we do. We hope that we inspire community activism, not only during the program, but we hope that we inspire lifelong activism for our students. Truly, students, our youth are the future, and by empowering them to be able to see a problem and then find a solution to that problem, we hope will stick with them throughout their entire lives. All right. Diving deeper into our curriculum. So we've come up with what we call the 4 Ds of application development. And that's discuss, design, develop, deliver. So I'll talk through all 4 of those different modules. Discuss you might think of as the ideation or the design thinking process. Our students think about the communities that they're a part of, what makes those communities amazing and beautiful, but also what everyday problems they experience within their communities. We have our students workshop through different mobile apps that they can build. And at the end of this module, each student has their own app idea that they're going to be building throughout the rest of the program. That moves our students into the module 2, which is design. This is where students learn the foundations of UI UX design, and that's user interface, user experience design. Basically, it's just the look and the feel of an application. They do research on the target audience, the community members who they're trying to reach with their mobile applications. A lot of it really is putting yourself in someone else's shoes. So there's a lot of social emotional learning that plugs into our curriculum as well. Our students create prototypes for their applications, and then they do actual user testing with members of their communities who would be using the applications. Students do a lot of iteration on their apps, as you can imagine, with all of the user feedback. But at the end of this module, each student has their own prototype, which they're ready to start coding. That brings us into module 3, which is develop. So here our students learn the basics of programming and computational thinking in general. We typically do not have a student who's done any sort of programming before, so we start from the very, very basics. We use a tool called MIT App Inventor to bring our students' application designs to life. And here is where I was talking a little bit about before, where the curriculum gets pretty tricky. But to give an example, if I have one student who's building a mobile application where it's a chat-based platform and communication, whether that's through voice or through texting, messaging, is at the core of the app, what that student needs to learn in terms of programming concepts is going to be different from another student who has maybe a map-based platform or app that they're building, or they're connecting to different databases, doing some sort of visualization. So as our instructors, we have to be super, super agile in being able to bring together the types of knowledge that we need to bring to our students. So at the end of this module, and I am always so proud of my students in how they're able to overcome a lot of the initial frustration in the application development process, we get to module 4, which is deliver. This you can think of as just basic sales and marketing. So our students have these incredible applications, and now it's just empowering them to be able to let the world know that they exist. Our students learn the art of communication. They practice things like elevator pitches, design decks. They then culminate in a showcase or a demo day of their applications to the wider community. And I will be completely honest, like sometimes my students do their sales pitches at the end and they are better than the ones you see on Shark Tank. So it's really impressive. Okay, this is my favorite part. So now I get to talk about specific student apps. The different problems that our students address are things like mental health, gun violence, bullying, environmental concerns, poverty, homelessness, food scarcity. These are huge problems that we as adults are also at the top of mind and they're trying to address as well. But these are problems too that students are experiencing in their everyday lives. I've seen all kinds of studies that show how the younger generations are so motivated by social change and really do want to make an impact. And I just find it so fulfilling for myself to be able to give that power and give the resources to our youth to help them make that impact that they truly want to make. So, okay, this was the hardest slide for me to make. It was such a struggle because I tried fitting so many apps on the slide and I could only fit 6. And as my Code Your Dreams instructors know, you can frequently find me on the floor of a classroom just overwhelmed with emotion by how amazing my students' apps are. So just know this was a struggle, and the only way I could put up only 6 apps was these were our 6 most recent apps. So there we go. Okay, I'm gonna start with the first one, which is called Stop the Violence. And just to give a little bit of context for this first one, this incredible app was built by a 7th grade student that I have. And the problem statement that he had was that when he walked around his neighborhood, he didn't feel safe. And he knew that others, his other peers, family members also didn't feel safe as well. He himself experienced gun violence directly affect his personal family members, and it's something that he's seen with his own eyes. Obviously, an extremely difficult experience that he's working with, but what's truly commendable and amazing is that he's taking this difficult experience and creating something meaningful, positive, and helpful for other people who are experiencing the same thing. So, with that context, this app provides community members who have been victimized by gun violence with support groups through a chat-based platform. It is truly amazing. The next app example that I'll give is called You Are Great. I love this one. It's an app that supports individuals with positive affirmations and ways to connect with others who are also battling anxiety and depression through a chat-based app or a chat-based platform. And what's really interesting is that you'll see a lot of common threads with our students' applications. For example, both of these applications are chat-based platform, and it's really common for our students to want to connect to each other, like increasingly. And that's something that's super relevant right now with COVID-19. So I gotta say, our kids are way ahead of the curve. The next app that I'll talk about is called We Got Your Back. This one is an app that helps connect individuals who suffer from anxiety and depression with resources in their area and practical tips for everyday and emergency use. The next one I have is called No More Bullying. This is an app that helps anonymously connect individuals who are being bullied with others in their area who are also experiencing bullying at their school. You keep seeing the common thread of connection here, and it's also really smart for the student doing it anonymously and pretty technically difficult to do that too, which is impressive. The next app that we have is called Recycle for Life. This is an app that makes individuals aware of how to recycle different materials through a game-based platform. And I just have to say, it's a really fun game-based platform. I personally have learned so much from this app. I am not proud that I had misconceptions about recycling, and now I am so much better for it. Okay, final one. It's called Who Are You? This is an app that provides you with gaming or art activities based on your mood in the moment. This one I really love. You have a screen and you select what kind of mood you're in, feeling sad, anxious, happy, whatever that might be. And then it gives you specialized games or like art activities to do based on your mood that might be helpful to distract you from other things that are going on. And it also pops up with positive statements of affirmation, which I know I could use. So I think most people could use that too. The other thing that I'm just going to stop and mention is that something about our curriculum that I find to be really important is that it gives students the ability to have a hand in all aspects of the app development process. I mean, technology is the now. Technology is the future. We know that computational thinking will be core to the future workforce. If not, it is already. So just giving students various career pathways to choose from that they might not be aware of. So things like product management, UX researcher, designer, a software developer, sales, marketing. These are all career pathways that our students learn are pathways that they can decide to choose in their lives. I know for myself, I didn't even know product manager was a position until just a couple years ago, and I work in technology. So it's good to give our students more opportunities. Okay, now going in a little bit of a different direction is just to highlight, as Code Your Dreams, how we've been making an impact so far in 2020. And I know right now it's been a little bit out of a 2020, but we're still progressing and moving most of our programming online. So let's keep the momentum up. So in 2020 so far, our students have identified over 50 different communities, both local and global. They've also identified over 100 problems that they can help solve or help address with technology. And finally, we've had over 40 impactful apps built by students, all aimed to address these critical community problems. So you just know the struggle I had putting only 6 applications up there. I tried putting like 20 up there with like size 2 font, and it just didn't work out. Okay. So now I just want to take a little bit of time and talk about the Chicago Student Invention Convention, which has been a fabulous partner for us at Code Your Dreams. I put 3 words on this slide, which are innovative, personalized, and empowering. These are 3 words that really define us at Code Your Dreams, but they're also 3 words that define the Chicago Student Invention Convention, which is why they've been such a great partner for us, and also honestly such an easy partner for us because they align so well with our mission and values. I love the opportunity for my students at Code Your Dreams to have the convention because it gives our students a space to connect with youth across Chicago and share their big ideas. This is something, this knowledge sharing, experience sharing is something important within our own program. So to give an example, when our students think through the communities that they're a part of, we have them do a type of community speed dating. So students group up in pairs of 2. They talk about their communities and ask each other engaging questions like, what do you love about your community? What is something you like, but you wish you could change? Where would you take me if you could in your communities? Like, these are all the types of questions that we have our students ask each other to not only get to think more deeply and intentionally about their own communities, but also to have students kind of get the experience or learn about what other communities are out there. And it's the same, it relates similarly when we think about different projects and inventions and experiences, to be able to see the types of those projects from students all around Chicago, I think is extremely powerful. And is a great lesson for students. But I also think it's really empowering to be able to show off what you've built to students all around the city. All right, now we're going to, I'm going to dive into just 3 offline activities that might be helpful for you and your students. One for ideation, then design, and then coding. What I did here is that I took some of our activities that don't necessitate any sort of technical requirements. So no computer is necessary, don't need internet, just because not every student has access to these things right now. Okay, I love this one. This one is for ideation, so that discuss module that we have. And it's called Crazy Eights. And you can see my wonderful student here showing off some of his work. What I usually do with my students is that I print off these blank templates of mobile devices, and I'll give them sheets so that they have 8 of them, but there's a much simpler way to do this. So all you need is a blank sheet of paper. What you're going to do is you're gonna fold that sheet once horizontally and then twice vertically. And when you unfold your paper, if I explain that correctly, but you'll figure it out. Once you unfold that paper, you should see 8 different boxes. So this exercise challenges students to interpret a problem and then sketch out 8 different solutions in a short period of time. So all you need is that piece of paper, and then whether you want markers, colored pencils, pens, whatever that is, and then a timer. So what you'll have to do with your students is that you're going to give students a problem. So let's say the problem is bullying. And for the invention convention, for example, your student wants to create an app. It could also be a product. Whatever it is for your curriculum, you can mold it to that. You want to have your student come up with 8 different solutions and sketch them out in each of the different boxes. So it's 60 seconds for each box, and then each will be a different invention, of course. I included the activity link here from Google, and I'll read a quote by them that I think is really nice. They said, "The goal is to push beyond your first idea, frequently the least innovative, and to generate a wide variety of solutions to your challenge." I always give my students just those brainstorming principles, like no idea is too big of an idea, no idea is a bad idea. Really, it's just a way to get yourself thinking and being more innovative in the way that you want to attack a problem. And of course, the sketch that you come out with, your favorite box, is not going to be your final prototype. It's really just a way to get your students thinking. All right. Next for design. So this is a really fun one. It's called Design Telephone. And I modeled this after my experience at summer camp when I was little, where we would all sit in a circle and one person would whisper a message in the person to the left's ear, and then they would whisper that to the person next to them. It would go around the circle. When it got back to you, it was something crazy. Like, not at all what I said. So we do this, but just in pairs and for general design principles. So this exercise challenges students to think deeply about app components that are core to some of our favorite programs. Again, please mold this to whatever your curriculum is. It works just as well for any other type of invention. So instead of thinking of an app, you can have your students think about a product. That's totally fine, or it's a technology product. So how this works: you have students pair up. So we're gonna have student A and student B. Let's say it's Sally and Bill. So Sally is paired up with Bill, and Sally needs to come up with an app that they really like. And like 90% of the time, it'll probably be Fortnite or TikTok. So let's say they pick TikTok. Okay. Sally then needs to walk Bill through all of the different interactions, the story that happens on TikTok. And what Bill needs to do is then use the instructions that Sally is giving, and then sketching that out, each of the different app screens. Whenever you click a button, then what happens, et cetera, et cetera. There are a few different goals for this activity. One of the goals is to have students think about what are the app components that are core to a lot of our favorite applications. When our students get to actually coding the apps that they want to choose, a lot of times they forget that there are very simple components that exist in most apps, like the login screen, for example, or a sign-up page, or just various buttons like that. And so it gives students, pushes students to start thinking about what those components are, so that when they do start coding, they don't go immediately into like the most interesting, meatiest part of the app, but they really start from a human-centered design perspective. The other goal of this activity is to have students be able to communicate the app experience and to be able to communicate different types of feature development here. So next we get into coding, and I love this one. It is called Code a PB&J. So this one, all you need are the ingredients in order to make a peanut butter and jelly. And when I do this in the classroom, I always have to find a peanut butter alternative, usually a delicious cookie butter. But if you're quarantined and you don't have nut allergies, like, go ahead, use your peanut butter. Why not? So this exercise challenges students to consider coding principles. Programming is simply giving instructions to a machine to perform a specific task. So what I do with my students, and I say, okay, imagine I'm a computer and you all are a team of programmers. What I want you to do is program me to make a PB&J. Students are a little bit confused at first. They're like, okay, we got this, so easy. Take the peanut butter, put it on top of the bread. Done. So I take the jar of peanut butter and I put it on top of the, still in its packaging, just on top of the bread. Our students laugh, they're confused, they yell in exasperation. They're like, no, Miss Bree, I wanted you to spread the peanut butter on the bread. Well, if you tell a computer to put an item on another item, that's what it's going to do. So what this teaches our students is that they have, when they're coding, they have to be really, really intentional about the instructions that they give a computer. It gets them to realize that you have to be specific, and there are a lot of little details that you need to remember and that are important in the debugging process. So I have the link for this activity with MIT, and I really like the quote that they gave. They said, additionally, students are introduced to the concept of debugging through iterative attempts to program a computer to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. This activity is so much fun. It's one that I'm going to be doing with my students remotely. You can have, like, it gets really messy. So a lot of times, you know, the student tells you to put the bread down and you just drop it on the floor. Peanut butter gets all over the place. So if you have a dog, they usually just clean it up, the peanut butter, and it's fine. But another alternative to this is you can have students also program dance moves with each other. I usually have students pair up with each other and just do whatever, program the most relevant dance move that they know of. Okay. So those are just a few activities that we do at Code Your Dreams. Please, after this webinar, like, reach out to me and I'm happy to talk to you about other activities that we do, both not meeting any sort of technical requirements, as well as others that do necessitate a computer and internet access. Our students are building apps using a tool called MIT App Inventor, and I'm happy to provide some resources with that tool as well. So some other resources that I found to be extraordinary. One is with Chicago Public Schools. They, the CS for All department came up with this amazing shared document of all different types of activities for our students for computer science. And they're also in sections based off of, based on grade level, which is really nice. The next is CodeSpark. It's a great program. They're not only providing free access for students to do various CodeSpark activities, but they're also providing teachers with free professional development opportunities. So definitely check that out if you're looking for, you know, ways for your students to do like fun coding games online, or if you yourself want more PD opportunities too. And finally, I found that Amazon has a great resource. It's called Amazon Future Engineer. They have a lot of really great learning, like learning videos and games, and they put all of their courses as free until the end of the school year. So that's another one that could be great for students who are interested in learning computer science online. Okay, that's really it. So I just want to end that please keep in touch. This is all of the ways you can keep in the know with what we're doing at Code Your Dreams. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. We love just staying connected with you all. Being able to provide resources and also just seeing what you're up to and how we can learn too. Okay, so that's it. I'd love to just open this up to any questions that you have for me. Or I would also love to hear just your experience, how you're dealing with COVID-19. I know that we're right now bringing all of our programming online for the foreseeable future. So would love to just hear your experience as well.
Yeah, so if you'd like to share, you can either raise your hand using the raise your hand feature. You can write in the Q&A, and then we can go ahead and unmute you and we can start that conversation. And if you had any questions for Brianne about things that she talked about, extensions, adaptations for remote learning, sharing out things that you're doing, we'd love to hear from you.
I'll also add that the Code Your Dreams program is always looking for other partnerships, volunteers. We're always expanding to new community centers and schools to teach. So my email is here if you're interested in what that might look like.
Great. Well, I think I'm not seeing any raised hands or Q&A pressing questions. So I think we can probably close it up here, but I'm very excited that Brianne was able to share all of these resources with us today. You said we're a great partner. We think you're a great partner. We're very excited to work with you and share what you're doing with some of our kids, with a lot of other teachers and students in our network, especially now that there's this transition to remote learning. But again, today we were sharing offline resources, but Brianne is also a great person to talk to about online, internet-connected coding resources as well. So please do reach out to her with either inquiry. So thank you again, Brianne, and thank you everyone for being here today, and we wish you a really happy Friday afternoon.
Thanks. Stay safe, everyone. Stay healthy.